welcome to this week's video. For this week, I'm going to be doing my book haul for the month of March. For the month of March. These are a few books from my shelf there that I still have to show you guys. Looks like I'm not doing a book wrap-up for the month of March because my reading has been sort of in the slumpies, and this was not a good reading month for me. I have one book that I DNF'd, and a book that I'm reading now that I'm really enjoying. So I think I'm going to save that wrap up for April, because I'm not finished the book that I am currently enjoying, and I just have one other book to talk about that was a DNF for me. So I'm going to scooch that over to April. But for now, let's show off some books, shall we? I've been trying to do the whole book buying ban thing, but that has not been going very well. But you know, we keep trying. Tomorrow's another day, because I really want to get through that shelf and not keep adding to it. But I do, so that's the thing. So let's get started. We have a bunch of Harlequin Presents, a bunch of standalones. So let's start with, I'll be showing off the covers and reading off the back blurbs for you. The first one is a Harlequin Presents by Sarah Morgan, Once a Ferrara Wife. And I love my Harlequin Presents. Laurel Ferrara wouldn't know a happy ending if she fell over it. Of course, her whirlwind wedding was always going to end in disaster, but it wasn't as simple as just walking away. From the moment she is summoned back to Sicily, the shivers of unease set in. The command comes from legendary billionaire Cristiano Ferrara, the husband she can't forget, but it might as well have come from the devil himself. The outrageously gorgeous Cristiano's power is a potent reminder of this Sicilian dynasty's unbreakable rule. What's a Ferrara wife? Always a Ferrara wife. So, again, if you're new here, I love my Harlequin Presents. It's my favorite Harlequin line. I know that they are completely inappropriate crazy sauce, and I love them, and I don't care. Next is an old school Harlequin Presents by Emma Darcy called The Upstairs Lover. And I do enjoy the vintage Harlequins because they are especially inappropriate. And the heroes are even more alpha. This one's from 1993. So I want to say not that long ago, but I'm of that age where 1993 doesn't seem that long ago, but if you're a millennial, it would seem that long ago. It's like 40 years ago? 30 years ago? Yeah, 30 years ago. So that's, it's a bit. When Shane Courtney followed her home from Paddington Bazaar, Christine Delaney knew she'd met a man who didn't take no for an answer. That's why I love these books. He didn't have to. He came from one of the richest, most powerful families in Australia, and he was drop dead gorgeous. Before she could question her sanity, Christine had rented him half of her home. Living with Shane brought incredible rewards. He was the perfect man, the perfect lover. But appearances could be deceptive. Christine suspected she was being used to spite his family. Why else would he be on bended knee to the illegitimate daughter of a lowly barmaid? Interesting. Next is a Harlequin Romance by Teresa Southwick. It's the Brides of Bella Lucia series, Crazy About the Boss. And it seems like a Christmas one with the ivy, or the mistletoe ivy sort of up here. Yeah. When Jack Valentine was rejected by his father, he headed to New York and made billions. Now the proud Valentines need his money, so he returns to London with his trusted assistant to make or break the family. Until London, Maddie enjoyed a professional relationship with her boss. Now something's different. The Jack she knew was nothing like this intoxicating man with fire in his eyes and pain in his soul. This Jack is definitely someone she could fall for, but this Jack could easily break her heart. Love it. And oh, okay, so this came out in December, so I'm guessing that's why it has like the mistletoe up top. Or it's a Christmas romance, I'm guessing. I'm not so much for the Christmas romances. Yeah. This one I am so happy about because this is a book that I first read and had completely forgot about around 30 years ago until I found it in the book section of my evil day job. One of the best things about my evil day job is that there is a massive book section. So that's where my employee discount mostly goes. But I found this book, Destiny by Sally Bowman. I remember reading and loving this book over 30 years ago. So I think I had to be around like 15? 1987. Good grief. So yeah, I was 10 years old when it came out, but I don't think I was 10 years old when I read it. Because granted, I was reading romance earlier than I should have been, but I think I was around 15 or so when I read this book. And I remember loving this book so much. But it had completely slipped my mind until I saw it on the shelf of my evil day job. So of course, after restraining myself from making some sounds, I picked it up. Let me see if, okay. Is there a bigger blurb? Yeah, okay. There was no reason on earth why they should have ever met. Edouard de Chavigny has known love, loss, disillusionment, and betrayal. Now he is the ruler of a financial empire, a man admired by his friends, feared by his rivals, famed for his ease in attracting women, and notorious for his ease in leaving them. Helene Craig was raised in rural Alabama by a romantic British war bride who fostered in her child dreams of a gentler world. But when Helene's illusions die in the violence of a sultry July afternoon, she vows to become rich, free, and invulnerable, and someday to attract her revenge. They met on a Paris street, and their love seems to them undeniable, inevitable. What they cannot know is that the paths that brought them together started not in Paris, not in Alabama, but in London on a night ablaze with Nazi bombs, and that before them lie years of public glamour and private pain, of unfolding truths and enmeshing lies, of ambitions gained and chances lost. Destiny spans 3 decades and worlds as disparate as the decadent villas of Algiers on the eve of revolution, the South in the early days of civil rights unrest, the fairy tale magnificence of a French chateau, the sheltered mansions of Hollywood. Teeming with a strong and passionate cast of characters, Destiny will mesmerize, beguile, and capture you in its riveting, unbreakable spell. Y'all, I loved this book so much. I remember nothing from it, but I remember loving it. I remember that it was melodramatic and crazy sauce, and it so made an impression on my little teenage brain. And I'm so happy that I found it again, and I'm so looking forward to rereading it again. Yeah. Next, we have another old school Harlequin Presents, and it's The Touch of Love by Vanessa Grant. Let me see what this one was from. 1990, so a little earlier than the first one. Keep your imagination where it belongs. That's what Melody Conacher told herself. It was okay to go a little crazy when writing songs hidden away on her beautiful island, but to reach out her arms and whisper his name, that was madness. Scott Alexander, the rugged ship's master who had burst into her world, was a stranger even if he was attractive and pleasant. She really knew almost nothing about him except that he wasn't a man for staying. But if Melody turned and looked at him, whispered a word of consent, it would happen. An affair, hot and quick and over. I say she should whisper that word. Next is another old school Harlequin Presents from one of the queens of Harlequin Presents, Carol Mortimer's Hidden Love. And she has a gajillion Harlequin Presents. And this one is from 1982. Nick's magnetism was overwhelming. Infatuated, Rachel offered no resistance to Nick's seduction. Then he insisted she marry him, not because he loved her, but because of the result of his own unbridled passion. No child of mine, he claimed, is going to suffer for my mistakes. Ooh, so she gets preggers. Their marriage, steeped in mistrust, was doomed from the start. Rachel refused to be a surrogate wife and fled before Nick could stop her, and before her hungry, foolish heart told her to stay and fight for his love. Oh, I love it. I love it. He marries her just because she's pregnant. And of course end up falling in love with her, of course. This one was, I think, my mom gave it to me. And it's Karen Rose's Alone in the Dark. And I'm not a big romantic suspense person. But every now and again, if somebody gives me a free book, I'll try it. I'm a book whore. And it has an insert cover. When you can't wait for justice, there's only one other option: revenge. And that's the insert cover. It looks very creepy. It's on it's in the middle of a park somewhere. And let's read the back blurb. Homicide detective Scarlett Bishop has seen enough bad guys slip through the cracks and innocent victims go unavenged to know that good doesn't always prevail. So far, she's been able to lock away her rage and her vigilante fantasies. That lock is about to break. Former Army Ranger Marcus O'Banion is a fierce champion of victims' rights. His secret past gives him good reason. He believes he's seen the depths of human depravity, but then his investigation into the murder of a young girl who once asked for his help lures Scarlett and him down a dark road, and straight into the crosshairs of a dangerous, powerful underground ring that deals in human trafficking. To stop them, Scarlett and Marcus have to be just as cunning and just as ruthless, but first they have to make it out alive. See, yeah, like the whole human trafficking angle, yeah, that drew me in. Yeah, I'm looking forward to reading this one. And it seems like a big book. I mean, look at that. How many pages are you? 721 pages. And it's not like you get here's a preview of it. No, that's the book. That's the story. 721 pages. Goodness gracious. For romantic suspense, that's not common. Next one is The Stolen Sisters by Louise Jensen. And I think I got this one at my Rexall, which is a local pharmacy here that sells books. They have a little book section, which I always love. It doesn't help when I'm going to get my iron pills because I'm anemic. When I go pick up my iron pills or any milk and run my errands and stuff, doesn't help my book buying ban that they sell books there. And sure, I can go to my Shoppers that doesn't sell books, but it calls me. The Rexall calls me. Let's see. Okay. Leah's perfect marriage isn't what it seems, but the biggest lie of all is what she learned to live with. Is that she's learned to live with what happened all those years ago. Marie drinks a bit too much to help her forget, and Carly has never forgiven herself for not keeping them safe. 20 years ago, the Sinclair sisters were taken, but what came after their return was far worse. Can a family ever recover, especially when not everyone is telling the truth? So this one seems a bit like, this seems like a suspense novel as well. But, and again, I'm not that big on mystery suspense, but it depends on the plot. It depends on the plot. I mean, we have 3 girls who were kidnapped, I believe. Yeah, 3. Yeah, and like, then they come home, and yeah, so I'm all about what this could potentially be. I'm really looking forward to this. Next we have another Harlequin Presents, and it's Susan Stevens' The Purest of Diamonds. And the guy kind of looks like, I don't know if you know who this actor is, but Costas Mandylor? Yeah. Google him, and you're welcome. As the youngest of the family of the famous Skavanka sisters, beautiful Layla has earned her reputation as the untouched Skavanka diamond, and is tired of it. It's time to start living her life, and who better to teach her how than the gorgeous Spaniard Rafa Leon. Rafa has no Hafa, that's, I have to say it right. It's short for Rafael. Has no problem mixing business with pleasure. Intrigued by her shy purity and enticed by her request, he'll ensure Layla enjoys everything life has to offer. But as her frosty facade gives way to an unleashed passion, Rafa realizes that there are consequences to playing with fire. You're gonna fall in love with her, she's gonna fall in love with you. Next is a bunch of Harlequin Presents. This one is Danny Collins claiming his Christmas wife. And again, that's another Christmas romance, which, again, I am not big on the Christmas stories, but it depends on the plot. After their secret marriage ended in heartbreak, plot. Billionaire Travis Sanders never wanted to see Imogen again, but when Imogen faints in the cold New York snow, Travis is called to a very public rescue. To avoid a media scandal, they must agree to a temporary reconciliation, at least until Christmas. But with their intense heat still burning, Travis is tempted to reclaim his wife for good. Second chance romances, even though I don't like much Christmas romances, second chance romances, I'm here. Next is another old school Harlequin Presents Susan McCarthy's No Place for Love, with the big forbidden on the bottom. I don't know why. And it's from 1995. Lacey Terrell's relationship with Sir Clive Parrish was entirely innocent. The only people who didn't believe that were Clive's sexy stepson, John, and the journalists who were after Lacey's blood. John Parrish was determined to save his stepfather from further scandal, no matter what it took. He had stolen Lacey away to his remote hideaway to keep her out of trouble, but there was just one problem. John had taken one look at the blonde, doe-eyed, and beautiful Lacey and decided she was certainly mistress material. His own. Oh, Lord, so was she married to the older man? Or, like, yeah, so. Next we have India Gray's The Italian's Defiant Mistress, and it's another Harlequin Presents. Eve has come to Florence seeking information, and only Raphael di Lazzaro, heir to the Lazzaro fashion house, holds the answers. Surrounded by glamour, Eve's out of her depth until she realizes Raphael wants her. If becoming his mistress will help Eve, she'll fake the sophistication Raphael's expecting, but that means being available to his every desire. Next is another old school Harlequin Presents, Michelle Reed's Gold Ring of Betrayal. And it's from 1996. It's sad that, like, the 90s are now the old school era. Nicholas Santino doesn't accept that Leah is his daughter. He believes Sarah, his wife, cheated on him with another man, and Leah is the result of that betrayal. Oh, so he's going to be an alpha hole to her. Oh, well. So Sarah and Nicholas are separated until the silence between them is forcibly broken. Leah has been kidnapped. Nicholas knows he's the only one who can secure the little girl's safe return, but it means he must go back to Sarah and find that even after 3 long years, she still wears his ring. So it's like a second chance romance. Definitely here for it. Love it. Next is another Harlequin Presents, Natasha Oakley's The Tycoon Princess, The Tycoon's Princess Bride. Black-hearted billionaire Dominic Vincini wants the lush riches of rival island Niroli, including the jewel in Niroli's crown, or Niroli, Princess Isabella Fiereza. She's forbidden, but to Dominic, a man scarred inside and out, that makes her innocence all the more appealing. If Isabella gives in to temptation, she'll tie herself and her kingdom to its sworn enemy. Ooh! Rival kingdoms. I love it. Rival made-up kingdoms. I'm here for it. Next is Natasha Tate's Forbidden to His Touch. Rafael Chavez is a man tortured by his gut-wrenching past and tempted by a future he dare not even dream about. Knowing he'll never deserve the only woman he ever wanted, Rafe, but it's without an E, will make sure she stays as far away from him as possible. But when Sophia Torino, the daughter of the man who raised Raphael from the gutter, stands before him 7 years later, she's even harder to resist. Confident, successful, and as intoxicatingly beautiful as ever, it's time for Rafe to obliterate his darkly powerful infatuation. Looking forward to that one. Next, we have Jeanette Kenny's Innocent in the Italian's Possession. When Gemma Cardone's boss is hospitalized and Stefano Marinetti, his estranged son, takes over the family shipyard, she is caught between duty and desire. Gemma's friendship with Stefano's father was steeped in secrecy, but Stefano suspects that she was his father's lover. Wrong. Gemma can never tell the real truth. It would tear Stefano's family apart. Gemma has never met a man as determined or as intense as Stefano. In his presence, she melts. Though she knows he despises her between his sheets, it's a different story. Of course it is. Look at him! Of course it's a different story! Next, we have another Harlequin Presents, Heidi Rice's Pleasure, Pregnancy, and a Proposition. Sexy millionaire aristocrat Luke Devereaux showed up at Louise's office, marched her to a doctor, and demanded she take a pregnancy test. Much to her complete shock and horror, it was positive. Nearly 3 months before, Luke had shown Louisa a night of pleasure she could never have imagined, and which would never be repeated. It will. But the dramatic consequences meant Luke was now demanding marriage, and his proposition came with a tantalizing promise: more nights of unbelievable pleasure. And Louisa, I bet, will be like Katniss in the Hunger Games. I volunteer! I volunteer! And the last one is not a Harlequin Presents. It is J.R. Ward's The Beast. I have loved the Black Dagger Brotherhood. I have finished The Shadows. I believe The Beast is the next book in that series. And it is about rage. I like that as sort of the series goes on, she has occasionally revisited earlier couples. She has done that so far with Wrath and Beth, and I kind of look forward to sort of revisiting the couples again. Like, yeah, I know that like she has like other books. Like we still have I can't pronounce his name, X-Core and Layla. I think we're getting Lassiter's story as well. There's there's other people that are like coming into the mix. And so yeah, let's read the back blurb for that one. I'm so excited. Nothing is as it used to be for the Black Dagger Brotherhood. The slayers of the lessening society are stronger than ever, preying on human weakness to acquire more money, more weapons, more power. But as the Brotherhood readies for an all-out attack on them, one of their own fights a battle within himself. For Rage, the brother with the biggest appetites, but also the biggest heart, life was supposed to be perfect, or at the very least, perfectly enjoyable. But he can't understand or control the panic and insecurity that plague him. Terrified, he must reassess his priorities after suffering a mortal injury, and the answer when it comes to him rocks him and his beloved Mary's world. So, Rage and Mary, I love them. So definitely looking forward to revisiting them. Yeah, so those are all the books that I wanted to show off to you guys this month. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Have you read any of these books? Let me know, without spoiling, which ones you've read, which one are you most excited for me to get to first. And that's going to be it for this week's video. Make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff, so that it helps people find the videos more in the YouTube algorithm or whatever. Yeah. So like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/authorejamie, like my Facebook page at facebook.com/authorejamie, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye!